What up, everybody? Understand this. When God puts you to a test, the enemy is going to try to test you also. Thank you all for tuning in. You're now tuning in to my podcast. I'm SF Johnny, Seriously Focused Johnny. You are now tuned in to Difficult People Chronicles. Today's episode is called The Message Tested by the Enemy. In the year 2022, I put out a message called The Message Tested. Check that out. I don't want y'all to get confused with the two. That episode is about God's test. This episode is about the enemy testing you. When things started to happen, I automatically thought it was God's test. But then I had to say, okay, these are my thoughts. Let me go and ask God. And what God said is that it's the enemy testing me. So let me tell you what occurred. I have four situations. One situation, I was fasting and my mother needed bread, so I went to the supermarket, got to the end of the aisle. I was looking back and forth for this specific bread because they have two breads with the same name, but one is just different. Like it might say whole grain or seeded or something, something. So I'm looking for this bread. My back was turned and I heard something hit the floor and I turned around. And at the same token, the bread guy, he stepped back and he looked. And then his eyes got wide and he was just like, that's strange. Why? Because the loaf of bread shot out onto the floor. So he was like, that's strange. And I said, should we start running now? Like now. He started laughing. So he walked over to the loaf of bread, picked it up off the floor, and he walked back towards me. He said, that's kind of strange because it's not like it's a full row of bread. And then I was just like, The other thing is that after the aisle, it's a wall. So it's not like someone else could be on the other side of the bread and just, stuff in the other side and then the bread just push out onto the floor. So I was just like, yeah, for some time, I've been saying what type of energy is going on here. So that was one situation. The next situation, I took my tide out of the bank. This time, I said, maybe it's for a reason. This was me. So this dude walked up to me, and again, I'm in the store. I have a cart, and I'm looking for something. And he walks up to me, and he's like, "Ma'am, can you support me? Such and such CD." So I gave him all these questions. I was like, "What type of CD is it? Such and such and such, and all this other mess." And he was like, "Nah." And then I said, I have to listen to it. So he allowed me to listen to it. And I said it was pretty good. It was talking about motivation, persevere, it was talking about how the enemy, I don't know if it said Satan or the devil. I think it said Satan or something, or the devil. No, it said the devil try to take him down and destroy his motivation and all this other stuff, right? And I was listening, and then the instruments with it was pretty good. Okay. I said, okay. So I took the CD and gave him something for it because, he said, oh, can you help me out, X, Y, and Z. And then I gave him something, right? And my spirit said, what's wrong with this dude? Because he was staring at me. I was like, was he looking for more money? Or did he want the CD back? Like, I wasn't giving back the CD. Why? Because I really wanted to listen to it. That's where I was at. And I said to him, oh, I don't have a business card because I told him about my business when he was telling me about his CD. I was asking him questions about his CD and all this other stuff. Didn't have a business card. Looked all over the place. Didn't have one. I said, that's strange. I got to stop doing that. You would have thought after I gave him my email address, he would have walked off, but he didn't. He stood there staring at me. I said, why is he staring at me? Like, what is going on with this dude? So I grabbed my pocketbook and I put it under my arm and walked off, left the cart there. And then I walked back to the cart. He was still standing there. And then I just grabbed the cart and I said, well, I was like, thanks for the CD. Good luck. And then I took off, right? And I kept saying something's wrong. Something's wrong with that. What kind of energy is he operating out of? Okay. That's the second situation. Third situation. I went to the bathroom and this was the same supermarket that where the bread situation happened. I went to the restroom before I left the supermarket because I was just like, I'm in a rush and I got a lot going on and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to the restroom when I leave. So I went to the restroom and walked in, and the first store had an electronic there. And I said, and it looks new. So I said to myself, what? And then I said, should I go give this to customer service? And I said, I don't have time for it. But my conscience was bothering me. I said, somebody else probably going to see it, take it home, and then that be the end of that. And what came to me is, what if it was me? God forbid. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. So I washed my hands, picked up the electronics. I was walking towards the register and I heard somebody talking. And they was like, "Oh, I lost this," and da 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 da. And then you see people searching. And I said to the lady, "What did you lose?" And then she told me. And I said, "Is it this?" And I held it up. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you." And she started laughing, yeah. I said, "I know the feeling." Know the feeling. And that was the end of that situation. The last situation, I was in the car. My cord wasn't short. My phone was plugged in. And every time I seem to turn on gospel music, it seems to cut off and then goes on to this craziness that's going on the radio. Whatever's going on the radio is crazy. Not everything, but when it seems to go off, it's a whole lot of cursing or somebody just talking reckless. And I said, this is strange. The cord doesn't have a short and nothing's wrong with the phone. It just tap out. So that was pissing me off. Why are these occurring? Number one, with the bread, the enemy wanted me to break my fast. Because you see, I would have started thinking about, oh, the deli's right there. All I got to do is ask for sandwich meat, get some Swiss cheese, some mayo, lettuce, tomato. Shoot, I can stand here and make me my own sandwich and get this bread that just shot out on the floor, right? It, and then I'll say, oh, I could do this fast tomorrow instead of today. Yeah, that was number one. And then I would feel bad because, let me go back to that. I would feel bad because I broke my fast and I wasn't being obedient. Number two. Number two was a situation with the dude. So when I got home that night from the whole situation with the CD, I went to sleep. And when I woke up, I remembered my dream. My dream showed me two guys. One, they both were white. One had this hat on, with the ears, the hat with the ears, a winter hat, and it goes over your ears. I couldn't see his face too well. And the other guy, he had some kind of cat. It was looking crazy, but it was a cat. It was crazy looking cat. And this cat was following me. And when I saw the cat, I had went up some steps and it was like a wooden gate. So what I did was I went around the gate, started going up the steps, and the cat started following me. And then I picked up the cat with my bare hand and threw the cat over the gate and then locked the gate. The next thing you know, in the dream, I was at the register. During that time, I was just saying to myself, oh, I need a business card. I need a business card. So I said, this dream is about the guy that I saw. Next thing you know, I got dressed, and then when I got to wherever I was at, I said, let me listen to this CD because it was pretty good. And I started to listen to it and then pass it on to my friend because him and I, we listen to like the same music. I plugged that CD in. Huh. It was cursing. It was Emma If for this. It was Be This and da da da. And then it was this heavy metal. And I literally like snatched my headphones off and was like, oh my goodness. So then when I was telling my friend, he said, you was bamboozled. And then I said to him, you know what's so crazy? When I saw a dude, he was staring at me like this stare. And something in me said, lock your pocketbook, like put it under your arm or something like that, like hold it tight. So I did just that. I said, before that, when I gave him a little something for the CD, the craziest thing happened. And I said, it's like money started falling out of my pocketbook. Like it just, like, I can't explain it to y'all. Like I took out the money to give him. And then it's just like money started spilling over, falling out my pocketbook. And I said, what is going on here? And that's when I said, what kind of energy is going on here? I'm saying, like, what's this about? So I stuffed it back in, zipped it up, and then I put it under my arm. And I always said to myself, which my mother reminded me that I'm gonna stop putting my pocketbook in the cart. Yeah, I gotta remind myself that. And I said he kept staring, and I don't know what that was about. Like, and he said, yeah, he probably was trying to rob you. And I said, yeah, but even after I put the pocketbook under my arm and I walked off, because I left the cart there at one point and walked off and was searching for something, and the place was crowded where I was at. I said, he was still standing there. And I didn't want to be rude, but I started to be like, yo, what are you looking at? You know what I'm saying? Like, you good? You good? You know. After a while, I just said, well, take care, good luck. And then I just walked off and he left. But I said, you know what? He would have stepped to me with some craziness. That would have been a fight of his life. Because trust me, yeah. The third situation was the electronics in the bathroom. I feel like my enemy wanted me to pocket the electronic. One of those situations where you just say, well, nobody claimed it. I don't see nobody here, so now it's mine. Either that or just leave it there and go on about your business. But my conscience said, what if it was me? God forbid. Rebuke that in the name of Jesus. But what if? And the last situation would be for me to just listen to that craziness that was going on the radio with the cursing and all that other stuff. In any event, me personally, would make me feel bad because I would feel like I messed up. I messed up with the fast. I messed up with the whole situation with the dude. Even though I didn't know who he was, what I said to myself that particular day when everything happened, I said, you know what? I'm not giving people in the streets money anymore. I'm not doing that. I'll stick with the organizations and all that other stuff. It was crazy. What I learned, because then God came to me again, is that that's not everybody, you know. Because then I saw another guy who was homeless, and he he was like, "Ma'am, can you help me out or whatever?" And I said, "Would you like something to eat?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I treated him to something to eat. And I said, "I get it now. I get it, God. I get it. Everybody's not like that." And like he said, the enemy is testing me. So I want to tell y'all, because situations is different for different people, different time frame. Where did I see that? Hold on. Let me tell y'all. Wait, let me see if I got it. So I was explaining to somebody about visions and dreams, and then the next morning I was reading my Bible, and I was in Habakkuk. I hope I pronounced that right. Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2 to 3. And it says, "And the Lord answered me, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but it speaks of the end and does not lie. If it delays, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay." So I was explaining to somebody that, you know, when my situation happened, that happened a long time ago. And then their situation is like right now happening. And I said, when a person tells you something, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen tomorrow. It may happen for another person like months down the line. So that I just wanted to share that with you all. I'm going to say this. Like God said, it is the enemy testing you. So I say this: when you fail to change, you remain the same. Change is where the next level is. If you want to defeat your enemy, get to the next level in your life. So if God is telling you to do something, do it. But in order to do it, know that you need God, right? The enemy feels like they don't like the new you, whoever this is for. They don't like the new you. They want you to be the old you. So they could use you, abuse you, talk bad about you, so you could still come around and act like you don't know the old you for some of y'all. Because for some of y'all knew your enemy was your enemy, but y'all thought maybe the person would change or whatever the situation have you. Anyway, the enemy wants to prove that you are not who you are. Basically, prove that you're not authentic. So that's why they testing you. Prove that you don't have no faith and you all over the place. This enemy has been telling lies, and they need to prove this because their character is being questioned. Yeah. First Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13. No testing has overtaken you that is not common to everyone. God is faithful and he will not let you be tested beyond your strength. But with the testing, he will also provide the way out so that you may be able to endure it. People were tested when the enemy was in hot pursuit in the Bible. Those that were tested showed some patience, faith, leadership, trust. And when it came to me, my test, my personal testimony was I will stand for God, even though my enemy won't stop. Because I was asked, who do I believe in? And I said, my Father. Now, let me tell y'all about different types of tests, just so you know, because I don't want y'all to think that your situation is going to be like mine or like whomever's. Some people will have the test of patience, like Job in chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 2, verse 13. You may get tested with pressure and stress and all that other stuff. Some may have the test of faith, like in Daniel chapter 3, verse 16 to 18, where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where they refuse and they said they was not doing it. They was not worshiping other gods. By no means. They not doing it. You may be tested in leadership, like in 2 Samuel chapter 15, where King David, a lot of people didn't like him and he was tested. Or Exodus chapter 14, where Moses was told to lead the people and they all complained. Your faith may be tested, or loyalty, like in Genesis chapter 37, verse 18 to 36, where Joseph was sold into the Egyptian slavery by his brothers. During that time, he still trusted God on his promises and plan for his life. In my situation, I say the test of endurance in this life. Are you willing to endure the battle for God? Are you going to throw in the towel when your enemy turns up the heat? Are you going to stick it out, being sober forever? When something happens to you and you have to decide in the moment what is right, are you going to do just that? Choose what is right. Because if you choose what is wrong, your conscience might kill you. Why? Because you end up beating yourself up. Here's a tip. Even if you unwillingly mess up, immediately go to God and ask for forgiveness. So that's it for today. For more, sign up for a session. Go to my website, seriouslyfocusedjohnny.com. Check me out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, click the notification. Check out my store. And for suggested topics, email me. All the links is underneath. Love me more, and I love you more. Later.